So please give me a little bit on what you've worked with and training folks on how to actually do the next step, the support, the where the rubber really hits the road with a student. Now we've said you're either going to harm yourself or you're going to harm someone else, and we got to keep you from doing that because we need to keep you safe. 'Cause that's our job. So, how are you working with folks to help them learn how to do that better?
I'll kind of jump in here first. This is another area where I like to really make it less scary. And what I say is, folks, we do intervention planning all the time in schools. So, proactively, many schools are probably utilizing some sort of an MTSS or multi tiered systems of support model. Hopefully, you've already done some resource mapping. What do we have available for tier one supports? What do we have available for tier two supports? What do we have available for tier three supports? And what are those community partnerships when we do need to help a family access resources outside of a school setting? And we're not saying that you have to reinvent all of these new fancy schmancy intervention programs or intervention ideas. Link them to existing supports you already have and utilize that resource mapping to identify, do we have any gaps in some of our resources or interventions that we in programming that we need to fill. And so when you're working a case and you identify the need and you also identify the strengths, because this really should be operating from a strengths based approach, then as a team in collaboration with their caregivers, we're looking at, okay, what do we have available or what can we help you access? And in so many of these cases, we also end up engaging supports for the family. It's not just focusing on that individual of concern. Or we realize we have a climate and culture issue within our school environment that needs to be addressed. So I really, again, try to kind of make it a lot less scary of, folks, we do this kind of intervention planning all the time. What can we put in place? What we know through research does not work, and I'm going to get on my soapbox here a little bit, is disconnecting them from the school environment. Suspension and expulsion does not make any of us safer. And I know that that's hard because, particularly administrators, there's a delicate balance between what the individual needs versus school safety. But when we further disconnect them, they're falling further and further behind in academic, social, emotional skills. They are not getting the skills they need to survive in the adult environment once they matriculate from the K 12 system. They're isolated. So, folks, humans are social beings. Where are they going to find those social connections? It's going to be on the internet and probably not with groups that are positive. There's a lot of groups out there encouraging violence towards others. And then they end up doing more research. And when they're angry or they develop those grievances, then that's when they start that pathway to violence. And so the number one goal, and sometimes we have to be creative in figuring this out, but the number one goal is, how do we keep them connected and how do we keep them engaged in relationships and skill building? Because that is our number one prevention and mitigation tool.